Whether you drive a car,
need a car,
or just occasionally bum a ride with friends,
you've come to the right place.
Join Jill and Tom as they break down everything that's going on in the auto world.
New car reviews,
Shopping tips,
driving green,
electric cars,
classic cars,
and plenty of great guests.
This is the Consumer Guide Car Stuff Podcast.
All right, this is the Car Stuff Podcast. I am Tom Appel. Thanks for joining us today. When you get a chance, please check us out at consumerguide.com. While you're there, check out our 2024 Best Buy list. Also, you can, You can listen to back episodes of the podcast right there on our homepage, although we strongly suggest that you just subscribe. Go to your favorite place, preferably Apple, subscribe, leave a review, leave nice comments, 5 stars. It's all good. Jill, how are you?
I'm good.
She is the president and... No, that's not you. She is the Director of Foreign Affairs and Canine Education at Pickup Truck Plus SUV Talk. She's North American Car of the Year juror. How are you, Jill?
I am doing all right.
You're eating chili.
I am eating chili. I have had a crazy day today, so I haven't eaten yet.
Oh, there's donuts.
Yeah, that will be my dessert.
You can dunk your donuts in the chili.
No.
I would do that.
No.
I know it's weird, but
I know
would
some
do that.
people do like cinnamon rolls in chili, and I think that's weird.
I don't know about cinnamon.
Yeah.
But the cinnamon thing, I think, cinnamon and chili, I don't think is entirely weird. Isn't Cincinnati chili sweet?
Not really. I don't think I think if it might have like nutmeg in it, but I don't think it has cinnamon, and it doesn't have a lot of it. I like, because my mom likes Skyline chili, which is Cincinnati chili, and they have it down in Indianapolis.
And that's the multi-way chili.
Yes, I usually do a 5-way.
And that gets you pasta too.
It gets you everything: onions, cheese, chili, noodles, hot sauce.
There was a chain that I thought was out of Cincinnati called GD Ritzy's, and it came to Chicago and promptly died. But they did a chili thing. Okay. But I don't think it was exactly Skyline. Style. Anyway, how are you?
Good. I feel like I've been to the moon and back, but good. I've been traveling again.
Already?
Yeah, already.
Lots of traveling. What were you driving?
So last week drove the Genesis GV80. This week drove the Mazda CX-70.
Okay.
So.
And we're going to talk GV80 today.
Yes.
But the 70 is strange because it's the 90 basically made 2-passenger. Two-row.
Yeah, 2-row.
The 2-passenger would be weird.
2-passenger would be
one passenger
very
up front, one in the hatch.
Or just like 2 passengers up front and a lot of cargo volume.
Yeah, that would be weird.
But yeah, no, it's basically the same. I mean, the powertrain's the same. The biggest change, like there's a little bit of a sporty design change on the front end, and there's some cargo stuff going on that's pretty cool. So.
All right. Later in the show, we talk to Ed Kim, President and Chief Analyst at AutoPacific, about American attitudes towards Chinese vehicles.
Yes.
And Chinese stuff.
Yes.
I'm looking forward to that chat.
I think that's going to be really interesting, and, especially in light of the recent 100% tariffs that are going to be going into effect.
Yeah, they're going to have to sneak in by some back door.
Yeah.
The totally unrelated, this happened to me on my way here, and I just wanted to talk about it real quick.
Okay.
If you pull into traffic, if you're in an intersection, and then you find yourself backing out of the intersection, you should just drive to the DMV, give them your driver's license, and never drive again.
Yeah.
What have you done?
You have done a bad thing. Like, seriously, I mean, you make a wrong turn, you go around the block, and you come back and you try again. Yeah. That's what you do. That's
exactly right. And if you're pulling into intersections unsure or unwilling to do the next thing, don't drive.
Yeah.
All right. Okay, I'm crossing it off my list of things I need to talk about.
You just needed to get that off your chest.
Another one.
Okay.
Another one, and this just crossed my mind, and I don't know why. I got an email. Do you have any idea what the IRS deduction right now is per mile for driving reimbursement?
15 cents?
No.
Okay. No, I have no clue.
It's always about the same as a postage stamp.
Okay.
But it's a lot of money, and if you think about it, right, the IRS calculates residual or vehicle depreciation, gas mileage, parts and maintenance, and all that stuff. It's now 67 cents a mile.
Okay.
So if you go and drive 10 miles for your boss, he should give you a check for $6.70.
Interesting.
If it's your own car.
Wow. My boss is not giving me that.
What's a funny story about that? When I was a much younger man, I worked for a company called Capular Marketing Research. It's long gone now. But I used to work the night shift.
Okay.
I would work 4 to midnight during the week. And one of the things that would happen is that we had a client, SC Johnson, up in Racine.
Yep.
We would do very weird last-minute research for them, like one-day research, and then they needed someone to deliver. In the days of useful fax machines, they needed someone to deliver the information to SC Johnson in the middle of the night.
Okay.
I would do that in my mighty Scirocco. So I would drive from Chicago to Racine, Wisconsin, which is most of the way to Milwaukee. And every time I get back, I get like a check for $32. And I thought I was getting rich.
Well, back then, way back then, $32 was a lot of money.
That money went straight to beer and pizza.
Well, that's a good expenditure.
Actually, gin and pizza. But,
Oh.
but anyway. All right. Another fun thing.
Okay.
I wrote a poem about the Chevy Malibu.
An ode to the Chevy Malibu.
It's not called that, but yes. It is an ode to the Chevy Malibu. I don't think I'll recite it here because Steve and Johnny have claimed it. So
Okay.
I will be reciting it live on WGN Radio sometime in the future.
But if you wanted to read it in advance, where could the people
It
find
is
that?
up. It is up now. That's true. It is consumerguide.com.
Yeah?
Yep. All right. What else do I have here before we start? This is big.
Okay.
We're going to be talking about Chinese cars.
Yeah?
And we've already talked about the BYD Seagull.
Yep.
10 grand car.
Yep.
Kia EV3. What do you know about it?
That it's coming and it's going to be revealed soon.
Soon.
Yeah, but they really haven't. I actually put out a story, I think last week, about what do we know about the EV3, and the answer is not
Nothing.
much.
No, we know it's a small electric car.
Yeah.
It's about the size of the Niro.
Yep.
So the Kia Niro's EV's got to be going away for good.
You would think. You would
Yeah.
think.
But they're talking about a price of 30 to 32 grand base.
Yeah.
And it should qualify for all or part of the federal tax credit because it's built in Mexico. So if they have their battery stuff together on this, it may be as little as $22,500 after federal tax credit.
Yeah.
Really interesting.
Yeah.
Because we talked to Sam recently, Sam Fiorani of Auto Forecast Solutions, talking about what it would cost to bring the Seagull here. And it wouldn't be a whole bunch less than that.
So, so I listened to that episode, and I mean, Sam obviously knows a lot more than I do, but I would think it would still be, like, even the interior fit and finish. I watched a video by Joe McElroy, who from Autoline, who we've had on the show, and he did a review of it, and he was like, this is an amazing vehicle. Like, the fit and finish, he said, was good. It was good enough for an American. And he looked at it, and he was like, the ride and handling is really good. So really, the only thing that they would have to fix is the safety. And I don't know how much.
And the range.
Would cost. Maybe. I mean, I think because it's more than 200 miles of range, isn't it?
Not at the $10,000 price level.
But it's one of those things where I was like, I hear what you're saying. I don't know if I 100% agree that to bring it to the United States would essentially make it a $32,000 vehicle.
Well, not 32, but 22 to 25.
Maybe.
And we'll see.
Well, especially with a 100% tariff.
Well, that's why they got to bring it in through Mexico. And that's a conversation for another day. But they will have to sneak it in sideways. It'll have to come in sideways. But there is the other part of this. People know and trust the name Kia now.
Yep.
They do not know and trust the name BYD.
No, they do not.
And we will be talking to Ed about this.
Right.
But there is a certain amount of discount people are going to want for buying an unknown.
Maybe. So, and maybe this is something I'll bring up with Ed when we talk to him, but two things. First off, we did see the EV3 concept at the LA Auto Show. So I did include in the story that I have, so we can put that in the show notes. I did include photos.
Again, remind me.
I will. I put photos of the concept in there. It looks like a little mini EV9. So I anticipate it will be pretty similar to the concept. Kia does that. But then the other thing that I wanted to talk about is I don't know if anybody out there is on TikTok, speaking of Chinese things, but there's a guy who his name is Forrest. Forrest Jones, I think is his last name. Forrest on Autos. And he literally just did a review of the luxury brand of BYD and an SUV.
Zeekr?
I don't think it was, maybe, but like, it was the coolest flipping thing I've ever seen. And like, it literally turned in a complete circle without like moving forward. And I mean, if you are on TikTok, you've got to go find Forrest and you've got to look at this review, because I'm like, shoot, like I want that. Like I don't care who makes it. I want it.
Wait, did you say BYD?
It was the luxury.
Because Zeekr is not BYD. Zeekr is Geely.
Yeah, no, it's the luxury brand of BYD.
Okay, I don't remember the name of that company.
Yeah, and I don't remember either, but it looked like amazing. Amazing. Like, I'm amazing.
How did it look?
Amazing.
Okay.
And then final thing with BYD, I've been traveling, so I haven't really had the chance to look at the details, but they just revealed a pickup truck that they are going to be building in Mexico.
The Shark.
Yes.
The Shark. That's a weird car because they can't bring that to the U.S. anytime soon, and it's like almost $60,000. I don't think there's a market for a plug-in hybrid in Mexico that costs $60,000. I'm not entirely sure what they're doing, unless they're going to move some of them, sell some of them in Brazil and Argentina. I'm not sure what they're doing with that, but it looks good.
Yeah.
It's like 50 miles of range or something like that, but it's too expensive for that market.
Yeah.
Also, I don't think you have the eco interest in Mexico that you have in the U.S.
No,
so
but
plug-in hybrid is probably not in huge demand. Also, there isn't really much of a charging network down there yet.
No, but if you plug it in at home,
yeah,
in your garage overnight,
yeah.
you get all of your range.
You don't necessarily need a charging network because you can 110 it.
Yep, and then go get gas.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I don't know. I thought that was interesting, and they've said that they don't have plans to bring it to the U.S., but where are they taking it?
Well, I don't know how they'd get it here yet either.
Yeah, fair. But I mean, like, where are they taking it? Are they paving?
There's no distribution model yet, so we don't know how that's going to work. But weird stuff. All right, we've killed a bunch of time there. Yeah. That worked. That went well.
That went well.
Did I mention my poem?
You did mention your poem,
right,
and you told people where they could find it.
Yeah. All right. But you drove.
I did.
An updated version of a vehicle I didn't think was old enough to update.
I don't know. I feel like vehicles are on like a 2 or 3 year life cycle-ish.
I have to check, but the cadence seems very quick now.
Yeah.
It used to be a car had a 5-year lifespan. A typical car had a 5-year lifspan. It was redesigned in year 1, freshened in year 3, and then redesigned again 2 years later.
But that's kind of what this is.
And now if it's the Malibu, you just let it linger since 2016.
Yeah, and you don't make it. Or the Toyota 4Runner, you let it go 14 years before, entering the next generation.
Or to complete a conversation we had 2 weeks ago, the Armada, the Nissan Armada and the Infiniti QX80, those lingered a long time.
They did linger a long time. But Genesis GV80, I feel like that came out in 2020. So it is time for a refresh.
Wow. Time goes fast.
It was either 2020 or 21. I know I drove it in my last apartment. So
inside?
I did inside my last apartment. No, and I have a really funny video of I hit the.
Of you getting the car stuck in the door to the bathroom?
Yeah. But no, I was. I pressed the park assist button because I like to test all of the features and things. So I pressed the park assist button, and it told me to get out of the car.
Oh.
And then it parked itself while I was outside of the car.
I wonder why it wants you out of the car. Maybe because you interfere with the not you, but the driver would interfere with the steering wheel or something like that.
It was very funny, and I was like, wait, what? You what? And it's a very funny video. It's on, I will send you that as well, the Pickup Truck Plus SUV Talk. But I drove the refresh version. I think it's a 2025 model, and they updated the grille, they refined some features, they completely redid the interior, and the powertrains are essentially the same.
Now this was the first crossover from Genesis. It preceded the GV70. It's a midsize crossover. It's very roomy, and there was nothing wrong with the car before now.
Nope.
A very refined, quick,
lots of nice
polished
details. Yes.
And the thing about that, the 2 engines, 2.5 liter turbo and a 3.5 liter turbo V6, both are. The 4 is way more than adequate.
Yeah. And
the 6 is just darn right fast.
Yeah. It is, I was like trying to see if I could find the horsepower numbers, but it is, I want to say it's like 300 and something, 375 horsepower.
375?
Yeah.
And I think it's 300 even for the 4.
Yeah. So, I mean, even the 4, like, does really well.
Yeah.
300 horsepower. And this is a 3-row vehicle, but the vehicles that we were driving, were only the top tier models. I think it's the Prestige trim that does not have the third row. So I did not get to look and see if they did anything to the third row. I anticipate they did not.
I assume they didn't.
Yeah, since they didn't provide us any.
Did they give you pricing?
Yes. So,
I ask this because Genesis is getting a little bolder with its pricing.
They are getting a little bit bolder for the pricing. So
they used to be a bargain.
Yeah.
Now they're a good value.
Yeah.
But they're really, really encroaching on they're already full Lexus level.
Right.
And I think they're really trying to get somewhere between Lexus and BMW and Mercedes.
I would agree with that. But here's the thing that you're going to have on Genesis that you will not have on a German brand. What you see is what you get. So the pricing isn't like, oh, you can get the car with the engine, but like the seats are optional. Like I feel like whenever you go to the German cars, like everything's an option.
I wonder about that, and I don't want to lose the conversation we're having, but especially BMW. Mm-hmm. The packages are absurd.
Yeah.
And the packages include things that you think should be standard.
Yeah.
So
like automatic emergency braking, which will be standard.
But it's always surprising when you're like driving something like a 5 Series, midsize sedan, very good car, and there's a base price in the 60s. Mm-hmm. But when you're done pricing out that car, it's almost 80.
Yeah.
And you wonder why they bother. I mean, I don't see BMWs advertised at fire sale prices, so I'm not entirely sure why they bother with the really weird kind of come-on pricing, because it doesn't matter.
No, it really doesn't. And I mean, like, adaptive cruise control isn't standard. Heated seats aren't standard.
Yeah.
And for a while, they played around with the idea of, like, charging a subscription for your heated seats.
Years ago, we got a Mercedes-Benz S-Class at the office. It was a very base S500. Beautiful car. Mm-hmm. Fantastic car. That's the big Mercedes sedan. Best ride quality of anything I've ever driven, perhaps. And the crazy thing about it was no heated seats. We got the car in the dead of winter, and heated seats would have been, first of all, it would have been expensive. They were a $600 option, kind of high, but the car didn't have them. Like, that is the problem when you have a car that doesn't have the stuff it should have standard. And anyone who would have ordered that car would have ordered everything.
Absolutely.
So very weird. But you were saying.
But Genesis has standard heated seats. So, like, everything you think should be standard at whatever price point is, in fact, standard.
So here's, recently, speaking of Genesis and speaking about their infotainment systems, does that stay largely the same? Does it feel the same, where you are sliding between, like, 4 or 5 basic function areas, and you touch on that, and instead of having everything on one screen, you slide through them? Someone complained about that recently.
Okay. Interesting. So what they've done, so this is part of the big update that they've done. The infotainment system and screen is now one big 27-inch screen, and it goes from the driver's side cluster all the way over to the
And that is the trend.
Infotainment. But here's the thing that they did. It is literally one piece of glass. So, like, you see something like that in Cadillac, and there's a division. Like, it's 2 pieces of glass. But in the Genesis, it's literally one piece of glass from one side to the other, and you can get the map to go from the map screen into your driver cluster.
Oh, that's nice.
It's really kind of cool.
Because I'm driving the Hyundai Kona right now.
Right.
So let's just lop $60,000 off this conversation.
Right.
But,
literally.
A very nice car. But that now has that as well.
Yeah.
And it's interesting, if you have driven a Kona or a Hyundai electric vehicle or a Kia electric vehicle, those were the design trendsetters, because now everything else is getting those designs. It also has the crazy rotary gear selector.
Okay.
Underneath the steering wheel.
Okay.
Like we used to turn, Like
well,
we used to turn a key.
It's got the wand off of the steering wheel where you turn instead of actually like shift it down.
Yeah, you just turn the top of it.
Yeah, it's the same one we see on the Hyundai Ioniq.
Yes.
But back to the pricing of the Genesis. I'm circling us back.
My ADD is showing today.
It is, in fact, showing. But the base price for the 2.5T standard base model is $57,700.
See, that's getting expensive.
If you want to go all in for the top tier, 3.5T prestige trim, you're looking at $79,300.
So this car gets over 80.
It does. Well, that's with the destination price.
Yeah.
So not over 80, just under 80.
Is that everything?
Yeah.
There's no packages?
No, Genesis. What you see is what you get.
Okay,
Tom.
so that's an $80,000 car now.
Yeah. And it has Napa
more,
leather.
It's more than I want it to be, but that's a very nice car, and I haven't driven the refreshed version.
No, and it has heated and ventilated rear seats. It has a power second row. So, like, you get a lot of stuff. And, like, at the base trim, like, you get that 27-inch OLED screen. You get more driver assist functionality. And this is the important part. wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto.
Everyone's got that coming, it seems now.
Yeah, well, Genesis and Hyundai and Kia, for the longest time, did not have wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. So they would have it in their base 12-inch screen. They would have wireless CarPlay and Android Auto. But as soon as you upgraded to the large screen and the bigger infotainment system, you had to wire in again. And I'm like, this makes no sense to me.
Can I be tired of talking about screen size?
No.
When I was a younger man, if you read an automotive press release, the first thing you read was horsepower.
Right.
Now it's not even in there.
It's all about the screen size.
It's
27
all about
inches.
screen size. Very
it's 27 inches.
Does it still come in that fabulous green?
No, you're talking about more of the racing green color, the bright hunter.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, so they have a new green though.
Oh.
I know. It is a little bit unfortunate because it's kind of a muted matte green. Yeah. Which, by the way, on TikTok, I have a video that shows the color.
All right. Still a fabulous vehicle.
Yes.
And is it more or less fabulous now?
Oh, yeah. It is. It is fabulous, and it got better.
Okay, that's good to know.
Yeah.
Genesis, they're getting a little pricey. Mm-hmm. They're still value-ish, but they're super competitive. They're great vehicles.
Yeah, I would agree.
Yeah, I just got the G70.
Yeah.
The small little 3 Series Challenger with just the base 4-cylinder. What a delightful car.
Yeah.
I don't fit in it, but it is a great,
but it
great
is
car.
Delightful.
Yeah, I can't ding a car for not being big enough for me.
Yeah.
The Genesis I could, because that's a big car.
The GV80. 80.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right, we
All
should
right.
take a break. When we come back, we talk to Ed Kim of AutoPacific about all things China.
Yes.
Or not all things, some things.
Some things.
All right, we'll be right back.
Questions or comments?
Drop us a line at carstuff@consumerguide.com.
That's carstuff@consumerguide.com. Welcome back to the Car Stuff Podcast.
All right, this is the Car Stuff Podcast. I am Tom. She is Jill. Jill, how are you?
I'm good. How are you doing?
I need you to help me. I need you to help me.
Okay.
I'm prompting you to help me.
I know you are. I'm playing dumb. Yes. Okay. So, Tom, hey, are you on TikTok or not TikTok? Twitter.
I am on Twitter.
Yeah.
I am not on TikTok.
You're not on TikTok.
Or
You should
X.
be on. You should be on TikTok.
People are telling me that, but
Yeah.
TikTok's about to be taken away from us, so why bother?
No, it's not. It will never be taken away from us.
I am
firmly
Car
believe
Guy
that.
Tom on Twitter.
Okay.
I had recently driven to Colorado, found all sorts of fun cars. They're all visible there under the Car Stuff. The Car Spotter hashtag.
Yes.
All right.
Although we do use the Car Stuff Podcast hashtag as
Yes,
well.
we do.
Yes.
All right. On the phone is Ed Kim. He is the president and chief analyst at AutoPacific, and he's going to share some stuff. They just did some great research. We're going to be talking about all things China. Ed, how are you?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for joining us. Also, our first segment was super rambling. We need you to bring order to the show.
I'll do my best, but to keep all of you under control, I don't know if that's possible.
It's not possible.
It's not.
actually.
It's hurting cats, is what it is.
Kim, tell us about Ed. Tell us about AutoPacific and what you guys do there.
Yeah, thanks. So AutoPacific is a automotive market research and consulting firm. So basically, we do market research for the auto industry, for the car companies, for the suppliers that build all the parts for cars as well. So we do market research, we do forecasting, we do consulting work, and given all the crazy things happening in the business right now, it's a pretty fun time to be doing this.
It seems like you guys have fun, and the stuff you guys turn out is always awesome and worth knowing about. And you recently did some research about American buyers and their interest and understanding of Chinese vehicles.
Yes, we sure did, and we thought this was a really timely time to do it because Chinese vehicles, and particularly Chinese electric vehicles, are very, very much in the news right now. Car companies are really worried about them because the Chinese automakers do have this kind of potentially lethal combination of really, really innovative electric vehicles, as well as huge cost advantages over most other automakers outside of China. So of course that leaves automakers concerned, and ultimately it led the Biden administration to drop 100% tariff on Chinese EVs this week, so which we're expecting to go into effect probably about August. So certainly everyone's concerned. Even the government's trying to slow their slow their progress into North America. So, yeah, that's why we thought it would be very timely to do the study.
Ed, before we talk about the study, I just want to get your personal opinion on this. Do you think the Chinese vehicle threat is as real as the media is saying it is?
Well, I guess in the sense that these Chinese EVs are really advanced and do have a cost advantage. Yeah, they're definitely an existential threat to other automakers. So yeah, I mean, the threat is real, and definitely everyone does. All the automakers do have good reason to be concerned. And as we'll talk about very shortly with our data, consumers are really pretty open-minded to the idea of having a Chinese car.
That is, I think, a change of attitude since very recently. And it's interesting that you say that. I remember a research study that came out 10, 15 years ago. And at the time it was determined, and it might have even been you guys, I can't remember who did this research, but at the time it was determined that for U.S. customers, there would have to be something like a 35% discount on a Chinese vehicle for it to be considered against U.S. product or U.S. available products. And that clearly seems to have dissipated.
Well, if you think about it, I mean, all the phones that you have in your pockets, your laptops, your smart devices. I mean, where are all these technologies actually assembled? Well, They're all assembled in China, and I think since that study happened 10, 15 years ago, consumers have just become very accustomed to having lots of Chinese-built technology that they use every single day, for work, for play, for entertainment, and all that. So to then expand that idea from, all of your personal electronics to the automobile, I mean, it's not really that much of a stretch if you really think about it.
Interesting. One more question before we get to the research. Is it your understanding that Chinese vehicles and Chinese electric vehicles are of similar reliability to vehicles that are being purchased right now in the U.S.?
Well, we don't have any firm reliability data on Chinese vehicles in China, but what I can absolutely say is that I remember, and some of you may remember, I think it was around 2008 or 2009, BYD and some other Chinese automakers brought a bunch of cars to the Detroit Auto Show, and they were immediately seen as sort of the laughingstock of the show.
I remember.
They were poorly built. Yeah, you were there. So these things were nowhere close to what we're accustomed to out here in the West. In a very, very remarkably short period of time, they have not only matched the quality of many other automakers, more established legacy automakers here, but they've also in a lot of ways exceeded the level of innovation and creativity. I mean,
interesting.
These are car companies that don't really have legacy practices that they're kind of beholden to. So it's kind of blank slate for them, and a lot of them have really been taking advantage, making good use of that blank slate approach.
Interesting. So tell us about the research.
Okay, yeah. So every other month we send out a survey called the Fuel Price Impact Survey, and it's basically measuring consumer attitudes about fuel prices and related issues. But we also use that bi-monthly survey to throw in questions about particular hot topics, which is why we decided to ask a bunch of questions about Chinese vehicles and their openness to getting them. And basically, we what we found was really pretty fascinating. The first most fascinating thing is that nearly half the sample are at least somewhat familiar with some Chinese car brand.
Wow.
That's surprising to me because we don't even none of these Chinese brands are sold in the U.S. But frankly, social media and the internet and all those things have made the world a lot smaller. So it just takes a few keystrokes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it just takes a few keystrokes to find out what's for sale in China. And, you read about these vehicles and you find that, wow, this is not what I thought a Chinese vehicle would be. So the awareness is shockingly high despite there being no Chinese vehicles here. So that, and that's even more so among those under 40. So the youngest consumers, those under 40, 80% of people under 40 have at least some familiarity with Chinese car brands. That really kind of blew us away.
Yeah.
We also were surprised that there was a surprising number of people that knew that Chinese automakers were looking for potential assembly sites in Mexico, which would of course be sort of a backdoor way to get into the U.S. potentially. Right. So that's been covered in the media, and certainly there's surprisingly strong awareness of that as well.
That's crazy. And first of all, congratulations to the American public for being that news educated, frankly. I would have thought that the Chinese situation in Mexico would have been strictly on the news page of the newspaper and not spread around the internet. But that's fascinating stuff. When we talk about Chinese cars in Mexico right now, there's obviously a huge step up in putting together an infrastructure there, and there's a lot of suppliers down there.
Right.
The question is, and I don't know to the extent you know this, who are the ultimate buyers for the products being built in Mexico right now? They're not coming to the U.S. They're probably not being, some of them are being sold to Mexico, but are they moving south to Brazil? Are they going back to Europe or Asia?
It's mostly for the Mexican and Latin American market.
Oh, it is. Okay.
For the time being. So basically, the way that the Mexican federal government has been fighting inflation, inflation of course is a global issue, but Mexico has one of the ways that Mexico has been fighting inflation is to kind of go all in on China. And on Chinese products, not just automobiles, but if you go to Mexico today, you'd be surprised to find you'll be surprised to see how prevalent Chinese products in basically every consumer category are just so prevalent everywhere in Mexico. So, in order to fight this, fight the inflation that's happening around the world and certainly in Mexico, as fiscal policy, Mexico has really kind of leaned in on China to, provide lower cost products to the Mexican public as a means of, staving off inflation. So, certainly, there have been a whole spate of Chinese car brands that have started selling in Mexico just in the last 2-3 years. If you go down to Mexico, Chinese cars are everywhere. A lot of them are sold under Chinese brands, but a lot of them are also, Chevrolet, Chinese market Chevrolets that are, being imported into Mexico and things like that. So, So for the time being, yes, those Chinese vehicles in Mexico, really are for that region. But, there's nothing on the books right now. There's no law. There's no U.S. federal law at the moment that would prevent a Chinese vehicle built in Mexico, which is part of our free trade zone, from coming into the U.S.
So Chinese cars sold in the U.S., how do you envision this? Do you see them going with a traditional dealer network, which would take them some time to build? Would they go factory to consumer like we're seeing the EVs go? And would it just be EVs that would be coming in?
Well, right now, those are all great questions. As far as how they would come into this market, as far as their retail strategy, that's kind of hard to say. Even among the startups, the automotive startups that we've seen here in the U.S. In the last few years, it's been sort of a mix between factory-owned and the traditional franchise model.
Right.
Tesla, of course, only does factory stores, but other newcomers, say VinFast comes to mind. They're doing a hybrid approach, where they have both company-owned stores as well as traditional franchise dealerships. I kind of hate bringing up Fisker because things aren't looking so good for them right now. But Fisker, before it looked like a bankruptcy was imminent, they were also saying that yes, they started with the factory stores, but in order to speed the rollout in order to speed the national rollout, that they were also going to look to franchise dealers as well. So it's kind of hard to say what the various Chinese brands would do. I guess it would all kind of depend on, what each of their individual goals are. And then, I'm sorry, what was the follow-up question to that?
Ed, I don't remember. But Jill's got a question.
Well, so I actually wanted to go back to the data a little bit because you are definitely very timely in asking this question because, as you know, the TikTok is quote unquote banned, and TikTok is now suing the federal government to not be banned.
Yeah.
Right. and the whole brouhaha is over privacy concerns and what the Chinese government is doing with our data. And so in addition to asking about brand awareness in this survey, you actually also asked about privacy concerns of people buying a Chinese car. What interesting things did you find by asking those questions?
Yeah. So the what we thought was really interesting was that actually concern over privacy across all age groups, including younger consumers, is pretty high. There is actually plenty of concern about privacy, but what I think is just as interesting is that despite the fact that the privacy or concern over privacy exists, consideration for actually buying a Chinese branded vehicle is still shockingly high.
Yeah.
And that's especially so for younger people. Our data here show that over 75% of those under 40 say that they'd at least consider buying a Chinese branded vehicle. I mean that's a lot. Especially considering that they are also saying simultaneously, but yeah, I do have privacy concerns. My feeling in theory is this. I think that the consumer in general is becoming desensitized to privacy concerns because, the last few years we've all been, we've all heard it, we've all heard the, complaints like, oh, my phone's always listening to me and putting up all these ads that prove it was listening to me 5 minutes ago.
Yeah.
We've all had these conversations. I think the consumer in general has just kind of, I don't know, I guess for a lack of a better way of putting it, given up and said, all right, well, it is what it is. Everything's spying on us. Everything knows what we're doing. So, I guess if the car is spying on me too, I guess it is, and that's that. So I think that it's really kind of coming down to consumers becoming, less desensitized to that issue.
Yeah, and I would agree with you on that. I feel like we've seen surveys with social media and how older generations, I'm deleting Facebook because it's listening to me, and the younger generations are like, so I definitely think that's in line with what we've seen with other things. Younger people are less concerned about privacy issues, and the older generations, like I have a friend who isn't even that old, and he is completely not found anywhere on the internet. He has somehow managed to curmudgeonly wipe himself from the internet.
I find that more frightening than people that are overexposed online.
Yeah,
actually.
No. I will occasionally Google search his name, and I'm just like, there is not even a photo. There's no photo. I don't even think he's on LinkedIn. He doesn't.
I have a couple friends from high school, can't find him.
Yeah.
Edward,
and I know he exists. I see him.
Ed, we're running out of time, but I'd love to get your take on what you think the quickest timeline is that we would see a Chinese maker selling a Chinese car in the U.S. under a Chinese brand name.
Well, I think the quickest it could happen. The automaker that's best poised to do it would be BYD because they are actively looking for a Mexican assembly site right now as we speak. They publicly said, oh yeah, this plant is going to be serving the Mexican and Latin American markets. Oh yeah, we're not really planning on coming into the U.S. But I mean, why wouldn't they?
Right.
They've got a plant in the USMCA free trade zone.
Right.
There's nothing preventing them right now from shipping cars from there to the U.S. And frankly, BYD cars are specifically the ones that have gotten all the other automakers, the federal government, up in a tizzy, because it's these BYD cars that have, proven to be so advanced and so attractive looking and full of technology, but they're like crazy cheap compared to the EVs that we have for sale here. So, these would be state-of-the-art EVs built in a USMCA zone. So I think BYD would be the most likely to do it. And I suppose, it could potentially happen in the next, 5-6 years. That's being very aggressive. I think it'll actually take longer. I think it would take longer for them to, actually, send cars across the border, and, they have to build a dealership network and, retail network and all that sort of stuff. But, if they work really, really fast, I mean, I'd say best case scenario, 5 to 6 years for BYD. And I think, of course, any other Chinese automakers that would want to sell here, due to the 100% tariff, they would certainly need to build a plant, somewhere within U.S., Canada, or Mexico in order to do it. But yeah, all that can happen pretty quick.
And your guess as to the lowest they could sell, the lowest price they could possibly sell the Seagull in the U.S. It's like a $10,000 car elsewhere. What do you think they would be able to retail that for in the U.S.?
Well, it's the equivalent of $10,000 in China.
Yeah.
Now, if that car were to be sold in the U.S., I think there would certainly need to be adjustments made to it. I mean, it would have to go through, fairly costly re-engineering, to the structure to make it, pass U.S. crash and all that stuff. And of course, it wouldn't be built in China. It would be built in Mexico, which
right.
generally has somewhat higher costs than China does. But still, that could potentially be a $17,000 or $18,000 EV. And,
interesting.
A $17,000, $18,000 EV here in the States that looks cool and has good range and cool technology and all that stuff. I mean, I've talked a lot before about how one of the reasons that we're seeing this the rate of EV adoption slow down is because there just aren't enough affordable EVs in the marketplace. There's a lot of EVs at $50,000 and up, but there's not a whole lot of EVs at the mainstream middle class price points that
right.
We really need more products at these price points in order to keep that EV adoption rate going. So I think that's where the real volume opportunity lies, and frankly, I think the Chinese are very well positioned to take advantage of that.
Cool. Ed, as always, we love your perspective. Thank you for joining us today. Tell people how they can find out more about AutoPacific and this research.
Oh, thank you. So our website address is pretty simple. It's just http www.autopacific.com, and on the site is a link to all of our news tidbits, and you can find our comments about this and other research work we've done there as well.
Sounds good. Ed, thank you so much for your time today. Great stuff.
Thanks so much for having me.
All right, that was Ed Kane with AutoPacific. We're going to take a break, and when we come back,
Quiz time.
Questions or comments?
Drop us a line at carstuff@consumerguide.com.
That's carstuff@consumerguide.com. Welcome back to the Car Stuff Podcast.
All right, we're back. This is the Car Stuff Podcast. She's Jill. I'm Tom. Another great guest, Jill.
Yeah.
We've had a series of great guests.
We have.
I've been enjoying these interviews. You just asked an important question. You just had some chili from Wendy's.
Yes.
Saltines or oyster crackers?
Saltines.
You prefer those?
I do.
As a kid.
I like the salt.
I don't know why when I was a kid, my mom always had oyster crackers in the house.
Because they're
that never
easy to
struck
put in
me
soup.
until now.
They're easy to put in soup.
We did have a lot of soup.
Yeah.
I think my mom made goulash, too.
Yeah, they're probably good in goulash.
All right. It's quiz time.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, no, it's not quiz time. It's Jill's social media time.
Oh, yeah. We can't skip over that.
You would think from my many pages of notes, I still have 4 active pages, I would have thought of that.
Yeah.
But I didn't.
No. Uh-huh. So you can find me on all the things. TikTok, Instagram.
All the things.
Threads. I've recently decided I'm going to dip my toe into Reddit. I haven't been playing around on Reddit, but I'm going to go do that.
I need to at least join Reddit because its functionality, if you're not signed up, is limited.
Yeah, so I Reddit, and but you can find me at Jill Ciminillo on all of the things. I also use the hashtag car du jour if Ciminillo is too difficult to spell.
I probably need to join TikTok just so I can more easily view and enjoy the things that my daughter sends me. Today she sent me a TikTok video of a woman, maybe in her mid-20s. Mm-hmm. She wrote, was it a poem or a song, about all the things that go wrong on the Enterprise. It was very funny.
Okay.
Very entertaining.
Well, and speaking of TikTok, we were talking about the luxury brand of BYD and Forrest Jones and his TikTok. It's Yang Wang, and it's the U8.
I have heard of this then.
Yeah. So
I'm aware of the U8, and I cannot remember the name of the company.
Yeah, Yang Wang is the name of the company. But I have to tell you, like, go watch this video because it's cool. You
know what we need to do, and we only have a few minutes left here and we want to get through the quiz. Sam had joined us a long time ago and kind of walked us through the Chinese brands we need to know about. Mm-hmm. But I think the smoke has cleared on that a little bit, and there's a clearer picture now of the 5 or 6 or 7 companies that really, really matter. Yeah. And one of them is BYD, and there's Neo, and there's Geely and its brands, and Great Wall. And I think that these are the ones now we need to really watch. Yes. Because they matter. And all of them are the ones that are startups, not the ones that were federally backed. Right. Chinese federally backed. All right, Jill, it's quiz time. All right. Are you ready? I am ready, and I'm prepared to hustle through. All right. Today's topic is fake option packages. Oh, okay. We haven't done this one yet. No, but this is not going to be easy. I'm just going to have to guess. I'm going to give you a vehicle and an option package, and you have to tell me if it is real or fake. Okay. Pretty easy, pretty straightforward. Not really. Nah. You don't know how devious I was. Oh, devious. All right. And the rules are 5 questions plus a bonus question. Bonus question, always about the topic of the day. Yep. Especially today. And I have to get 3 correct to win. You have to get 3 correct to win. Yep. And you won last week. Yep. It seemed like you weren't going to win. No, it really did. Yeah. It did seem like I was not going to win. All right. Today, option packages. Are you ready? Mm-hmm. The Toyota Tundra SR, base Tundra. Is there a package called the Sun and Fun package? $13.95. No. There isn't. I didn't even read you what was in it. I should have done that. I'm like, no. The Sun and Fun package for $13.95 would include a power sunroof and the JBL audio system if it was real. If it was real. All right, you're on the board. All right. I got a point. Yeah. You did not get to say your favorite phrase. There ain't nothing on the Tundra SR. No, there's not. That's why I was like, no, I don't. There's no package. I don't need you to read what's in there. Wheels. There's nothing. Yeah, it's a very basic vehicle. Actually kind of handsome in its basicness. Yep. All right, are you ready? Mm-hmm. The Buick Envista Sport Touring. Okay. Is there an Experience Buick package for $9.95 that might include a power moonroof, a Wattslink rear suspension, and 19-inch wheels? So I have not driven a Buick in like years. Uh-huh. Like at least 2 of them. What was the name of the package again? The Experience Buick package. No. Yes. Huh. And it's especially weird because I did not realize that the Envista came with 2 different rear suspensions. Yeah? It seems like an oddly, I don't know. Well, the Wattslink rear suspension gets you better lateral control, but this doesn't seem like a car that you would need that on. It feels like something you would have in an old British sports car. I know, I'm like, it's actually, it is something you would have in an old British sports car. And it's a Buick. All right, you still have 1 point. Okay. All right. The 2024 Honda Accord Sport Hybrid, basically a mid-level car. Mm-hmm. The Safety Plus 2.5 package for $8.95. If it was real, it would include enhanced pedestrian detection, enhanced head-up display, and rain-sensing wipers. No. It's fake. Very good. Because I feel like Honda just includes all that stuff anyway. They do. Yeah. They do. Yeah, they did that. I forgot what they even called it, but when a lot of this stuff started... It was Honda Sensing is what the original... and it was standard, almost immediately standard on everything. Yeah. Good on Honda. Yeah. And good Toyota is something similar, so good on the automakers who make stuff standard. The thing about Toyota, and good on them for making the safety stuff available or standard, is the naming of the things, 2.5, 3.1, 8.7, and every one of them is different, and it's very confusing. Yeah. And when I get a press release about an update, I feel bad about not reading it because it's just like I can't keep them straight. What small thing did they add? Yes. Yeah, but it's good stuff. All right. A topical vehicle.
Wait, how many points do I have now?
You have 2 points.
Uh-huh.
You have 2 points.
I have 2
You're
points.
in good shape.
Okay.
You have 2 points and 3 opportunities to get one more.
Okay.
The 2024 Malibu 1LT Sport Edition package for $895, which may or may not include a black Malibu badge, front and rear bow tie emblems, blacked out grille, and dark chrome grille surround.
That sounds like it would be a package, but I don't know if it would be on that model. I'm going to say yes.
It is, but why?
Yeah,
this is
exactly.
mostly a fleet car.
Yeah.
It seems really strange.
Yeah, 1LT. That's why I was like, this sounds like something Chevrolet would do, because they do blacked out badges and things like that. But
And there's an identical
Malibu.
package that's slightly different for also $895. I don't know why. You've already won, Joe.
whee!
3 points for you. We are cruising into the end of the show, and you can just enjoy your victory.
Yeah,
It's like the end of the season.
I can just go through and be like C, 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 like when you're like selecting the middle, like in the Scantron test or whatever.
It's basically the end of the season, and you've
Yeah.
already made the playoffs.
Yeah.
You can just cruise now.
Yeah.
The Ford Escape Platinum, the Platinum Tech Package for $1,910. Active Park Assist, Bang & Olufsen 10-speaker audio, HD radio, head-up display, and leather trim seats. Real or fake?
What I'm trying to remember is if Ford uses B&O. Genesis has B&O.
It does?
Or not? Yeah. 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 I think, yeah. Yes.
Is that its top one?
Yeah.
Because all Genesis uses, it'll come to me in a minute.
Well, Hyundai uses Bose. So I would imagine. But I think I'm 99.9% certain I'm not having a mental blip. I could be. I was literally just driving the Genesis GV80. I swear there was somebody there from B&O.
Meridian, that's the one that's in most Genesis products.
Got it. Okay, so I'm gonna say no.
Real.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's weird. Leather trim seats. So that means that the Ford Escape Platinum does not have real leather. Because you get it in the package.
Yes. Weird.
It is weird.
Okay.
Also, that vehicle's going away, and we don't hear much about it, and I haven't seen one in the press fleet for a long time.
Mm-mm.
It's weird, but I think the Bronco Sport is just so much more attractive to people,
Yeah, I would agree with that.
despite its lack of rear seat space. All right, it's bonus question time. You've already won, but
Yes.
just so you know, slugs, the animal slugs,
Animal or an insect?
common name for any apparently shellless terrestrial gastropod.
Okay.
All right, just so you know that.
Gastropod.
Gastropod.
Okay.
Joe, which of the following is not a species of slug? This is per the johnincenter.com.
Okay. I'm just going to nod and smile at that. Go
And
for
that's
it.
center C-N-T-R-E. So it's British.
Center.
I just need you to tell me which is the fake slug.
Okay.
Are you ready?
Mm-hmm.
The Balkan 3-band slug, the large red slug, the Sowerby's Kneeled slug, that's K-N-E-E-L-E-D slug, or the Peruvian midget biting slug.
I'm going to go with...
I know which one I want to be real.
I know. Well, I know which one. The Peruvian, whatever. I'm gonna
Midget biting slug.
Yes, midget bite. I'm gonna go with that one.
As real or fake?
What was the question?
Fake.
Fake.
So you're saying the Peruvian midget biting slug is fake?
Yes.
Sadly, you're correct.
Okay.
Yeah. I for one would love to have a little jar at home with some dirt in it and a Peruvian biting slug.
Yeah.
Just feed it some lettuce every day.
Do they eat lettuce?
I don't know what slugs eat. My daughter left for school 6 years ago and left me for what do they call it? Arthropods? The little roly-poly things?
Yeah.
And since then, I've bred them madly. And I have, a few thousand of them in a 5-gallon aquarium that my daughter won't take back now.
That falls under the things I didn't know about you category, and I know a lot about you.
Yep, I have a bug collection. Yep. You know what they like? Fish food.
Okay.
Which is convenient because I have that in the house.
So if we have an outbreak of these things, we know who to blame.
I guess my daughter will not let me release them into the wild.
Good, because they probably would create some kind of plague.
I don't know. I can't imagine they've really been altered much over the last 6 years.
They would be not a non-indigenous species, and they would
I don't know where they
kill
came
something
from,
off.
honestly. I don't know where they came from.
And genetically engineered. I don't know.
Also, I wondered if I ever had to get rid of a corpse, could these things help me?
Now you're just taking things in a completely wrong direction.
No. I don't need to get rid of a corpse, but I'm just hypothetically.
You've been cut off. I think that just might be the time to end the show.
All right, there we go.
Good grief. Happy Memorial Day.
It's a 5-gallon aquarium. You can't get much in there.
No.
All right.
Man.
Our thanks to Ed Kim of AutoPacific for joining us today. Learned a lot about Chinese cars. Big thanks to Randy and the good folks here at TalkZone. Thank you, Jill, for talking bugs with me. You did good on the quiz. You got 4 out of 6 tonight.
Yep.
Nice job. All right, let's talk more about cars
next week.
Remember to check us out at consumerguide.com.
The Car Stuff Podcast is produced by J-Turn Media.
To advertise on the show, please drop us a line at carstuff@consumerguide.com.